Imagine spending 30 years paying off your home, believing it will fund your retirement, and then discovering, at 67, that you cannot access a single dollar of it without selling the place you live. That is not a worst-case scenario. For millions of Americans, that is the plan. And most of them have no idea. They have spent decades building equity, watched the value climb, and when someone asks whether they are ready for retirement, they think of the house. But a house is not a retirement plan. It never was. And the moment you need it most is exactly the moment it will let you down. Tens of millions of Americans approaching retirement are sitting on record levels of home equity. They look at that number and they feel safe. They assume the house is the answer. It is not. The moment a crisis hits, the bills pile up, the market drops, the medical emergency arrives, that is exactly the moment your home equity will be hardest to access, worth the least, and cost the most to unlock. This is not a theory. This is what the math shows, every single time. Your home is real. The equity in it is real. But equity is not cash, and retirement does not run on equity. Retirement runs on cash, on income, on money you can actually spend without a 6-month process, a 15% cost, or a forced move from the home you have lived in for decades. You cannot call your house and ask it to pay a bill. You cannot withdraw from a property the way you withdraw from a portfolio. You cannot rebalance real estate during a downturn with a phone call. What you can do is spend years believing you are prepared, and then discover, at the worst possible moment, that the plan you counted on was never really a plan at all. Stay with me, because the math is about to prove it. Housing wealth among homeowners 62 and older climbed to a record $14.66 trillion in the third quarter of 2025, according to the NRMLA Risk-Span Reverse Mortgage Market Index. That is an almost incomprehensible amount of wealth sitting inside the walls of American homes. On paper, it looks like retirement security on a massive scale. In practice, almost none of it can be spent without a major transaction, a major cost, or a major life disruption. Retirement savings for the same population tell a very different story. The majority of Americans approaching 65 do not have anywhere close to what they will need. There is a gap, a serious, structural, growing gap. And for millions of households, the home equity is supposed to be the thing that closes it. It will not. And here is why. Home equity has 3 fundamental problems as a retirement funding source. They compound on each other. Most people discover them only when it is too late. The first problem is liquidity. Think about 2 retirees. The first has $500,000 in an investment portfolio. The second has $100,000 in a portfolio and $400,000 in home equity. On paper, they both have $500,000. In practice, they live in completely different financial realities. The first retiree can access money within days, rebalance during a downturn, cover a medical emergency with a phone call. They have flexibility. They have control. The second retiree has a house, and to turn that house into spendable money, they have exactly 3 options. Sell it, borrow against it, or go without. Selling under pressure takes months and costs 10 to 15% of the sale price before a dollar reaches a bank account. It also forces a life change, relocating from a community that may represent decades of roots at the moment when stability matters most. Borrowing converts an unsecured need into a secured debt backed by the home itself. Miss a payment and foreclosure becomes a real possibility. For a retiree on a fixed income, that risk is not theoretical, and about 40% of baby boomers still carry a mortgage in retirement, meaning the equity is not even fully unencumbered yet. The liquidity problem is not a detail. It is the foundation of everything that follows. The second problem is concentration risk. A financial advisor would reject a portfolio with 80% in a single stock without hesitation. Yet many American households have 80% or more of their net worth in one house, in one neighborhood, in one local real estate market. The risk profile is identical, and nobody says a word. Local employers relocate. Infrastructure changes. A market that looks durable today can look very different in 10 years. Home values declined nationally in 2022, and specific markets saw drops far steeper than the national average. In Q4 of 2025, U.S. borrowers lost approximately $78.8 billion in home equity, around $8,500 per mortgaged homeowner. Home equity is not a fixed number. A plan that depends on a specific value in a specific year is built on assumption, not certainty. The third problem is carrying cost. A home does not sit passively as an asset. It consumes money continuously. Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and repairs increase over time, particularly as the home ages. The equity is notional. The costs are real and recurring. A working household can absorb an unexpected $20,000 roof replacement from earnings. A retired household must absorb that same bill from savings or fixed income. The home that was supposed to be paid off and maintenance-free has a way of delivering expensive surprises at exactly the moments when absorbing them is hardest. Together, these three problems create a very specific failure pattern. The household that counted on downsizing to fund retirement sells their home later than planned, receives less than expected after costs, pays more for their replacement housing than anticipated, and arrives at retirement with a fraction of the expected windfall. The emotional friction compounds it. The family home carries decades of memories, established routines, proximity to familiar healthcare providers, and community ties that cannot be quantified on a balance sheet. Many people who plan to downsize find, when the moment arrives, that they simply cannot bring themselves to do it. They stay longer than intended, carry costs they plan to eliminate, and the window for moving on favorable terms slowly closes around them. The home that was supposed to fund retirement becomes the largest line item in the retirement budget instead. Now for the specific failure point that was flagged at the very beginning. Home equity is least accessible precisely when it is most needed. During a financial crisis, real estate markets often decline at the same time that every other financial pressure intensifies. In 2008, home values fell 30% or more in many markets, simultaneously with everything else collapsing. A retiree who planned to access equity in an emergency discovered it had shrunk at exactly the moment the emergency arrived. A single home concentrates all the risk in one place. And that concentration is most damaging at exactly the moments when resilience matters most. If this kind of analysis is useful to you, take a moment right now to hit the like button and subscribe. More content on retirement planning, financial security, and the decisions that actually matter is on the way. None of this means home ownership is a mistake in retirement. A paid-off home eliminates housing costs and provides genuine financial security. It reduces the income required from a portfolio and Social Security. It creates a stable base from which the rest of a financial plan can operate. But that is a very different thing from treating the home as the source of retirement income, to be accessed when the portfolio runs short. The home provides shelter and stability. The retirement plan provides cash flow. Conflating the two is what creates the vulnerability. If home equity represents the majority of your net worth approaching retirement, that picture needs to change before retirement begins, not after. The options are real and available, but only while time remains to act on them. Accelerating retirement contributions, even modestly, shifts the ratio of liquid to illiquid assets over time. A planned downsizing, executed on your terms before pressure forces your hand, can convert equity into investable assets under favorable conditions. And reverse mortgages, understood carefully, can be a genuine tool for some households, though they carry ongoing costs and reduce the equity available to heirs, so they deserve serious attention before signing. These moves do not require dramatic sacrifice. They require an honest assessment of what the current picture actually looks like, and a willingness to act while the options are still open. Housing wealth among older Americans is at a record high. Retirement savings for the same population are, for the majority, well below what retirement will require. Those two facts together describe the shape of the problem with complete clarity. The house is real, but it is not a paycheck, it is not a portfolio, and it is not a retirement plan. The people who navigate retirement successfully are not always the ones with the biggest homes or the highest equity. They are the ones who understood the difference between an asset and a plan, and built accordingly. If you found value in this video, subscribe for more content that helps you build a retirement that actually works. The decisions you make in the next few years will matter enormously. The best time to make that distinction was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now.